Okay, so we'll just finish off from where we started on the inverse trig. So this question here, we can see is going to be our chain rule. So I'm going to just literally write down chain rule. And I have y dy dx is equal to, so 2 comes down to the front, the bracket is unchanged, and the power becomes 1. Now remember, I'm not finished until I have differentiated what's in the bracket. At this stage, I'm going to change the color of my pen because I need to do some extra work on this. So I'm going to begin the question as if this was the only question I had. I'm going to let u is equal to 3x. So I'm actually forgetting really what's over there in the black for the moment, and I'm treating this as a completely separate question. So when I go to do dy du, I am going to write u, first of all, as u over 1. Now, when I go to my log tables, page 25, I look for where the formula is for the inverse of sine. Now, it's x over a. So in this case, your u is your x and your a is 1. So when I go to do this question, it's 1 over the root of. Now, it's supposed to be a squared minus x squared. So it's 1 squared, which is 1. And then it's minus x squared, which in our case is u squared. Du dx becomes 3. Now, to piece this back together, I just have to multiply dy du by du dx because the du's cancel and I get what I need, which is the dy dx. So multiplying the two of them together, I have this times 3. So if it makes sense, that becomes 3 over 1 minus. Now I'm going to put back in my u. My u was 3x. So that becomes 9x squared. You're squaring the 3 and the x. Now that's what goes back in here. So I do not put it back in until I'm completely finished with it. So use a different color pen or use a little bubble, whatever it takes for you to get this right without confusing yourself, because there is a lot going on. So now we return to the original question. We have a fraction, so if you want, you can put everything else as a fraction. You eventually will see that you end up with 6 sine inverse of 3x all over the root of 1 minus 9x squared, and now you're done. Let's have a look at the next one. In the next one, we have sine inverse and we have x over 5. Now, we should be able to do this one straight from the table. So the derivative, now this time it's written as f of x. So instead of dy dx, I'm doing f prime of x. But the reason I suppose that I'm kind of happy about this one is because in the formula, it's supposed to be x over a. So the x is acting as x and the 5 is acting as a. So I should be able to go straight in without using u at all. So the formula tells me for the inverse of sine, it is 1 over a squared, which is 5 squared, which is 25, minus x squared, which in this case is x, so minus x squared, and I'm done. So that one's a very easy one because it was already in the form of x over a. Now, let's have a look at this one. So here I can see that I have the product rule. Now, how do I know that it's product? I know that it's product because essentially I have an x multiplied by an x. And I know there's more going on than just x, but if it's in 2 parts, an x times another x, it's product. If it's product, you allow u to equal the first part and v is equal to the other part. Now, to do du dx, I get 2, so that's straightforward. To do dv dx, now there's a little bit more to it. So again, I'm going to change the color of my pen and I'm going to go over to the side. I'm going to do the sum as if it's a brand new sum. So I'm going to allow y is equal to this guy. I'm going to let u is equal to 5x. Now this u is not the u in the product. This is just me going off to the side and saying that y is equal to the tan inverse of u, and u itself is 5x. I do dy du. Now I can write u over 1. The reason I'm doing that is because in my formula tables, this is acting as my x and this is acting as my a. So that gives, so the formula tells me it's a, which is 1, over a squared, which is 1 squared, which is 1, over plus x squared, which is u squared. My du dx is simply 5. So when I piece it back together, it's 5 over 1 plus u squared, and then the u is 5, so I'm just going to fill that back in, 1 plus 25x squared. Remember, it's u squared, so I'm squaring the 5 and the x. So that's what goes back in here. And I now finish the question using my product rule. Now I'm going to write my product rule, dy dx is equals to u times dv dx plus a v times du dx. So it is u, which is 2x, dv dx, which is 5 over 1 plus 25x squared, plus a v, which is the tan inverse of 5x, times du dx, which is 2. So it's 10x over 1 plus 25x squared, plus 2 times the tan inverse of 5x. And now I'm done.